Cryptocurrencies are supposed to be highly distributed systems, but the fact is that they have a natural tendency towards centralization. And this is the danger. Arguably, this is the most significant danger to their security. And I'll describe today a natural mechanism that opposes this. So there are a lot of cryptocurrencies out there, and Bitcoin is by far the most significant one. A lot of companies, a lot of money, as just described. And behind Bitcoin and all the other cryptocurrencies is blockchain mining. Now, the blockchain is a distributed algorithm. It is run by miners, just computers connected to the internet. And it is open, so anyone with a computer can join. Now, how can you secure such a system where anyone can join? The key is an incentive system. This is the novelty of Bitcoin, the main novelty of Bitcoin, in my opinion. And the incentive system works as long as there is an honest majority of miners. So the majority of miners play by the rules, and then everybody else is incentivized to play by the rules. Now, last year, we've revealed the fact that the actual real bound is much higher than that. You need many more honest miners. The exact number is not clear, but there is a defendable target at 75%. The point of all this is that we want miners to be distributed. We want a lot of small miners. However, due to the way the compensation is distributed to the miners, miners tend to form pools. They collaborate. And the largest of these are open pools. These are pools where miners can just join. They have an internet connection. They can join the pool and collaborate with other miners. And the danger here is that this leads to centralization. Pools, these open pools, become larger and larger. These are 3 random snapshots from 3 different blockchain instances. And you see here that pools are large. These are just the sizes of pools. At one point, one Bitcoin pool reached 50%, that watermark. And this is the threat to the essence of what the blockchain should give us, which is that no single entity can have total control. So I'll describe here a new attack called pool block withholding, and I'll show that pools are motivated to attack one another. Nevertheless, when they attack, we observe a tragedy of the commons, and both pools attacking suffer from this attack. And I'll explain why this is a natural mechanism that rejects such open big pools. But first, some background. So abstractly, blockchain mining works like this. We have on one side the blockchain and on the other side the miner. And the miner learns of a puzzle from the blockchain. Now, it looks for a solution to this puzzle. And the puzzles are constructed such the miner works a little bit like my son when he started doing jigsaw puzzle. He just picks apart and tries. There is no method to doing it. You just have to try until something fits. And when something fits, the miner sends this proof of work, this solution to the puzzle, back to the blockchain, and the blockchain compensates it by sending money back. The reason for this is not important for this talk, but this is basically how it works. And now, the blockchain maintains a global rate of proof of work. It receives, for Bitcoin, every 10 minutes, 1 proof of work. For other cryptocurrencies, it's a different number, but this is not important. The point is that it adjusts the difficulty of the puzzle such that globally, a constant rate of solutions are found per minute. Excuse me. And so since there are many miners, because everybody wants this compensation, the money, and there's a constant rate of proof of work, it means that it takes a long time to find a block. With a reasonable investment, it's still going to take you years, many years, to actually find the block and get the compensation back. And so miners form pools. A lot of miners join one pool, and I'll draw miners as these shovels, and the pool is a pool, and it works like this. Between the blockchain and the pool, everything looks just like before. So the pool gets the puzzle from the blockchain and sends a solution. We call that a full proof of work back to the blockchain, which sends the money back. Behind the scene, the pool outsources the work. So it sends multiple miners its puzzle. All the miners try to find solutions to the puzzle. When they find a solution, they ship it back to the pool. They also send partial solutions, so pieces that almost fit. Now, when the pool gets the money from the blockchain, it distributes the money fairly, so each miner gets a portion of the money according to how many almost solutions, partial proofs of work it's got. So this was the introduction. This is how it works. Let's see how it breaks. And this is the pool block withholding attack, and it works as follows. Supposedly, if you have two open pools, each pool should take its puzzle from the blockchain and send the puzzle up to its miners. But since the pool is open, the pools are open, the attacker can do the following. It registers to the victim pool on the left, on the right, as a miner, yet another miner. As far as the victim is concerned, it's just another mining pool. And then the victim sends the attacker, the attacking pool in red, its puzzle, and the attacker uses one of its miners as a mole, and it works for the puzzles of the victim. Now, where's the attack? When the attacker gets the proofs of work from this mole, it doesn't send back the full proofs of work, only the partial proofs of work. And so the victim pool thinks that it's working for it. It distributes some of its revenue back to the attacker, but the attacker doesn't give it anything actually useful. Now, for a long time, this was considered to be a sabotage attack. The attacker was thought to be expending some resources and causing pain to the victim. But let's see what actually happens. First of all, because there are a few influencing factors here. So first of all, for the attackers, there is less direct mining power. It has less miners that actually contribute useful work because it uses some of them as moles. For both of pools, there's this money transfer. So money goes from the victim pool back to the attacking pool. You should count both these. And finally, and this is a fine point, we have less miners producing full proofs of work for the blockchain. And so the blockchain tunes the difficulty of the puzzles down. It becomes a little bit easier to produce solutions. And so getting money from the blockchain becomes easy both for the attacker and for the victim. And I'll analyze this as a game. So the goal of the game, of each pool, the entities are the pools, and the goal of each pool is to maximize its revenue density. That is revenue per mining power unit assigned to this pool, and everything is static. So miners are still attached, are always attached to the same pool. Now in each round, one pool is going to adjust its infiltration rates to the other pools. How much mining power it is using for an attack to each of the other pools. Now, since there are many pools, we have a spy versus spy kind of thing. Pools can attack one another, and then the revenue goes in circles. And I'll analyze this in a stable state, so an equilibrium where no pool can better its situation by changing its infiltration rates. And the analysis is going to be generic. It's going to work for any size of pool. So if we're talking on two pools, the two pools can be all the mining power in the world. There can be other pools in the system that are not participating in the game. They're just mining quietly. Let's begin with a very simple case, the case of two pools where only one pool attacks the other. The game is very short. It progresses with just one round where one pool optimizes its revenue rate by tuning its infiltration rate to the second pool. And here's the first surprise of this work. The dominant strategy here is to attack. So this is not just for sabotage. A pool can always improve its revenue density by attacking another pool. It will have more money. Now from this we can deduce for the general case that honest pool mining is not an equilibrium. If you have any number of pools, just look at two of them and one should attack the other, just as we saw before. So let's concentrate on this situation. We have two pools. There may be other pools outside the game. We're looking just at two. And they each attack the other. And the game now progresses in steps. So pool one optimizes its revenue density by tuning its infiltration rate. And then pool two, with a new infiltration rate, updates its infiltration rate of the first pool. And now the situation has changed a little bit. So pool one optimizes again, and so on and so forth. Now, surprisingly, there's a single feasible equilibrium point to this game. And this is what I'll talk about next. I'll concentrate on the situation where both of the pools are a minority. So no pools has the majority of mining power in the system. If we were in that situation, then already the system is broken. If we have a majority mining pool, nothing works. So first of all, if neither pool attacks, we're at the honest mining situation. I'm seeing different things on different screens. I hope that, yeah. Okay. So we're at the honest mining situation. Both pools have a revenue density of 1. Now, pool 1 should choose to attack just as we saw before. It improves its revenue density while pool 2 suffers badly. And now pool 2 retaliates. So pool 2 decides to attack as well, optimizes, and we reach this equilibrium point. Now pool 2 suffers a bit less, but pool 1 starts to suffer as well. And this is, of course, symmetric. So the strategy is whatever the other pool is doing, you should attack. It will improve your revenue. And then you suffer from the strategy of the commons. It would have been better if none had attacked. And I argue that this is good. So if it's bad, it means that it's better to mine with closed pools, with smaller pools, and this is good for the system because it implies smaller mining powers. Now, of course, open mining pools might disagree, so let's see what they can do. First of all, I should point out that game theory tells us that in an iterated prisoner's dilemma with an unbounded number of rounds, you can actually reach a stable state that is not in equilibrium. So the pools play some sort of a tit for tat, and they maintain this stable state despite the fact that for a single round, a single round of the super game, it is better for them to attack. But these stable states rely on the fact that detection is possible, and this is a very anonymous system. So it is difficult, it is almost impossible to say who is attacking you. Now let's talk about other ways to counter the pool block withholding attack. So about detection first, there is the question, let's say a pool realizes that it's under attack. It sees that it does not receive the amount of money from the blockchain it expected to receive. It is still impossible for it to know which of the miners are attacking it. So it's under attack, okay, but who is attacking? Because each single miner is only expected to find a full solution very rarely. And so if a miner doesn't find a full solution, it could just be unlucky or maybe even reasonably lucky. Another thing a pool could do is it can give a bonus for a full proof of work. So when a full proof of work is found, the miner that found the full proof of work gets a little more than miners that only found partial proofs of work. Another version of this is seniority. Miners that have been with a pool for a longer time get more. Both of these techniques reduce the homogeneity of the revenue distribution, which counters the goal of pools, so it reduces the attractiveness of a pool. Finally, there's the option of a honeypot, where the pool sends the miner a solution where it knows that there is, a puzzle where it knows that there is a simple solution. And in this case, if the miner doesn't respond, the pool realizes that it's attacking. But doing this properly implies a significant waste of resources, which again reduces the revenue of the pool and makes it less attractive. Yeah. And finally, the question of out-of-band enforcement. With any way you can, it means trust between the pool and its miners, and this implies smaller trust circles, which is great. This is what we want. So in summary, that open pools are open to attacks, and by reducing eligibility, we can make the pools safer, and they will also be smaller, which is good and very important for a distributed system such as a blockchain in particular. So I've analyzed this new attack and show that honest pooled mining is not in equilibrium, and that two minority pools face the miner's dilemma. This is great news for Bitcoin and for blockchains. Thank you very much.
Thank you for the talk. Any questions?
Yes.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm JP from EPFL Switzerland. So this is fascinating stuff. Maybe first start with the comments and then move to the question. I think this idea of cryptocurrency is somewhat terrifying in the sense that it means that technology is going to replace the institutions we have, parliaments, governments, central banks, etc. Okay, let me move to my question now. So can you say more about the game itself in terms of information that the players have? right? Is it complete information or partial information? And how about having more than 2 players? And how about collusions between, groups of players?
So first of all, about information, it is possible, for the goal of this attack, the attacker,
Yeah.
For the goal of this attack, the attacker needs to know a lot about its victim. So essentially what the revenue rate at the victim pool is. And this information, first of all, it's often publicly disclosed by a public pool, because the pool has to play a very open game for miners to join it and believe that it's being fair.
Right.
And second, by sending a very small, insignificant mining power, an attacker is able to learn these ratios, which is all that it needs to know. And the second question was about collusions. These are always a problem in this ecosystem, because collusions can also lead to a dangerous situation where pools have uncontrollable or disproportionate control of the system.
Exactly.
It is always, almost always in their best interest to collude, and this is exactly the reason, in their best interest to collude if they want to not play fair.
Yes.
And this is the reason that I argue, and as many others, that we need to have a lot of small entities. So you'll need a large set of colluders to actually reach a dangerous size.
Thank you.
Okay, question here.
Thank you, Itai. This is fantastic stuff.
Thank you.
So your analysis suggests very strongly that open pools are not stable for a variety of reasons. And yet, in practice, we see a lot of large open pools. How do you reconcile this?
So for 2 reasons. First of all, the reason for the formation of these large pools is social, more than technical. They have very nice logos, and if you look it up on the internet, you very easily come to their site, and it's a little bit technically easier to join them. So there is some minor motivation to join very large open pools. And the reason that I don't think we see the attacks is that I think that this industry is not very mature yet. The revenue you can obtain by doing this attacks is difficult. It's difficult to get because you have to tune very carefully what you do, and you have to also be able to present to some manager that you're making an extra revenue. I don't think that this industry is at that point yet, but when it will become a more scientific and accurate industry that shaves off a couple of % of revenue per month, then I think that this will be something to worry about and will be very, very measurable.
Thank you.
Questions on that side? Yeah.
Hi, Guy, MIT. So what part does the difficulty adjustment play? Because as you mentioned, it is adjusted once every 2 weeks or so. And so the pools don't get the payoff from that strategy immediately, because, the adjustment would not happen very quickly, and they could be, I don't know, maybe detected by the time that the difficulty is adjusted and decreased.
So that's a good point. The point is that difficulty is adjusted. It's tuned by the blockchain infrequently. It's not a law of nature, but this is how it happens in Bitcoin. And it's only adjusted every 2 weeks. And so if a pool wants to profit from the block withholding attack, it needs to have the difficulty adjusted correctly. Now, if you start the attack right after a difficulty adjustment, you're going to lose. What you need to do is you need to wait for a difficulty adjustment, and then the difficulty usually rises, potentially because you brought in more miners into the system. And then instead of bringing the miners into the system as honest miners that are going to generate full proofs of work, you immediately use them as moles for block withholding. And so the difficulty is automatically set. And then from day one, you're already making profit.
Question on that side? Yeah.
Nick Weaver, ICSI. I'm struggling to see why you say it's not detectable. If the attacker is an open pool, any other pool that suspects the possibility of selfish mining against it can mine against the attacker honestly and detect that its work segments are being rebroadcast. And once a pool is detected doing something like this, this would be a death sentence on the Bitcoin community because this would be directly attacking Bitcoin, and the Bitcoin community doesn't tend to like that.
Is this my time?
Yes.
Okay, so I'll answer
We're
very
running-
briefly
running
because
out, yeah.
the time says, the clock says 0. It is possible to detect it this way by sending moles to detect moles. The short answer is that a pool is better. It is best that the pool has some organic mining power, and so it is able to do this attack undetected. I'll be glad to talk about this more offline.